experience it all here. And that's what I'm going to do.
We're facing north here, so we can see Lake Union on the right. The Cascade Mountains are the mountain range that you can see over here. And Mount Rainier was really visible earlier, but the last time I checked, there were clouds over it. Just keep your eye out, though. It'll be to the right of the city skyline. It's the tallest mountain in the state.
The sunsets up here are unbelievable, but even if you are visiting in the middle of the day, the scenery is still spectacular. And from the top, facing north, you'll see Climate Pledge Arena, home of the NHL Seattle Kraken, which opened up in 2021. To the west lies Elliott Bay and the Puget Sound, with the Olympic Mountains towering off in the distance. Now below that sits the Seattle Cruise Ship Terminal, and docked today was the Asuka II. And this is a Japanese cruise ship currently in the midst of a 46-day voyage across the Pacific. And my mom and I actually followed this exact cruise ship on our Alaska cruise last week when we departed out of Ketchikan, and we thought that was the last we would see of it, but it's kind of weird seeing it here this morning. Now, you'll also spot the Seattle ferries crossing paths through the harbor behind that, with one heading towards West Seattle and the other towards the downtown waterfront. And slightly south sits the Great Wheel, which actually opened up in 2012, and beside it sits Lumen Field, home of the reigning Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks, and that opened in 2002 when it replaced the Kingdome, which stood here from 1976 until its implosion in 2000 to make way for today's stadium. But boy, has that view ever changed, and the skyline has transformed, but this is what that looked like when the Kingdome was still standing. And you see that giant glaciated mountain off in the distance? Well, that's Mount Rainier, and she stands over 4,000 meters tall from about 100 miles away, and she is easily the heaviest glaciated peak in the entire United States, outside of Alaska. Now, she usually sits right behind Lumen Field and T-Mobile Park, which is home of the Seattle Mariners baseball team. But despite all the trips that I've been down here in Seattle, I have never been lucky enough to see her with my own two eyes, so hopefully that will change in the future. Now, this is the main skyline, and the tallest building in the back you see there is the big black Columbia Center, which Seattleites like to refer to as the box that the Space Needle actually arrived in. I mean, Columbia Tower is massive. Now, facing east of the skyline, you'll see the Cascade Mountain Ranges, as well as Lake Union, which is home to the wood-fired Lake Union hot tub boats. And I'm not gonna lie, these things are seriously cool, and I will cover that more in next week's episode. That is essentially the major highlights of scenery for me. This here is the outdoor observation area, and if you head inside and head down one level of stairs, you'll find the revolving glass floor, which I did have to look up at the ceiling to get myself to walk on.
Check! I'm looking down! Oh, God, I can't do this. Just let me off right now.
I genuinely think the Space Needle is just one of the coolest pieces of architecture ever built. I mean, I'm absolutely in love with the futuristic flying saucer design, and also its elevated position sitting on the hillside away from the dense downtown core really allows the tower to just stand out against the skyline, as opposed to being completely consumed by it the way many other historic towers eventually have been, keeping the Space Needle visible from almost anywhere in Seattle. From here, oh, and also from here. Now, prior to 1962, most people had no idea that Seattle even existed, but the Space Needle put it on the map, and upon opening, it would become the tallest structure in both Seattle and the entire West Coast, surpassing the Smith Tower, which you see here, and that held the title for almost half a century, since 1914, when it opened. And the Space Needle construction itself was truly extraordinary. It required the largest concrete pour west of the Mississippi to date, And beneath the tower sits a massive 30-foot deep concrete foundation, which is so heavy that the tower's center of gravity is essentially ground level. And that engineering also allows the Space Needle to withstand hurricane-force winds at over 200 miles an hour, as well as a magnitude 9 earthquake. And when Seattle was hit by a 6.8 earthquake in 2001, the Space Needle was completely untouched.